Order. We have in the room are Jane and myself via Zoom, Peter and Susan. Crystal is on Zoom. Fawn is on Zoom. We have two guests from the Royal joining us here in the room, and Channel 79 is here taking the whole thing. So before I even start the official meeting, I do have an announcement to make. Tomorrow afternoon at 2 o'clock, I am going to pick up my wife and bring her home.
Hey! Very good.
I am very happy about this. It's been a long, long haul.
Absolutely.
Okay, moving right along. Property managers report. Crystal, you got anything for us? Crystal, are you with us?
It is kind of hard to get. Property manager report, everything at the Royal right now. I know that there's some things that we're working on there. We have construction coming back in May to take care of a lot of things that residents brought to our attention. So we're taking care of all that. The landscaping is going to start soon, so hopefully that is going to all bring some pretty flowers and everything going on there at the Royal. Same for the Heights. We're bringing landscaping here starting April 1st, so hopefully everything's going to look pretty. We have a lot of spring things happening for the Heights, like I mentioned in the last meeting. We're cleaning out all the vents. We're taking care of all the HVACs and the exterior. We're going to make sure that everything's nice and clean so that it's all set for AC season. But other than that, everything's running pretty smoothly at both sites.
Okay, and Crystal, we have an issue at the Royal with construction debris in the vent systems. We're going to have to wait until May to get that fixed?
So construction is going to come out and clean up all of the vents in all 55 units. I'm just waiting on a solid date, and then I will notify all the residents so that they're aware, because we do have to enter the apartments to get this done. So we're just waiting on a solid date, but construction is coming back to take care of that.
Okay, so as soon as you get a date, you'll let us know. Because it's an issue for some of our residents. And it's gone on for quite some time now, so we really want to get it taken care of sooner rather than later.
Yes, I agree. I will. Okay. I'm hoping to get a date by Friday this week, and so I will let you all know.
Okay. There was something else I wanted to mention, and I can't remember what it was.
So I have a question about the Heights.
Yes.
Just quickly, are we fully leased at the Heights, or are there vacancies?
We have one vacant right now. We have a 2-bedroom vacant. However, she is scheduled to move in April 1st right now. So pending compliance approval, she should be set to move in April 1st.
And then we'll be completely leased.
And then at that point, we are 100% yes.
Very good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And we are completely leased at the Royal.
At the Royal, yes, we are 100%. Well, we have currently someone's moving, giving me keys at the end of this month, but someone is scheduled to move in the second week of April.
Okay, so we do have waiting lists at both locations in all the different categories. Some of the waiting lists aren't that long, but there are waiting lists for every category.
Right.
I'm sorry, it's really hard to hear, Joe.
Yes, there is a wait list for both.
Yes, there is a wait list, Joe, and it's open for both. I have shared the preliminary applications actually with Allie from the town, because I know a lot of people have been reaching out to them, so they have both preliminary applications, and I put them outside of the buildings as well. So yes, both wait lists are open, all income tiers.
So the lists are open, but there are people on the waiting list. There is no availability.
There's people on the waiting list.
If somebody moved out tomorrow, we would not have availability of an apartment. We would go to the waiting list to fill that vacancy.
Correct. If someone were to move out to give us notice, we should not have a problem finding applicants to move them in right away now.
Okay, just want everybody to know.
And the application is also posted on the website, is that correct?
For the Royal, yes. The Heights doesn't have one online.
So don't we have a page on the town website? Do we post the application there or no?
I don't believe our application is on the town website, but I can reach out to Lisa to ask her if that's something we can do.
The only thing I caution with the town website is making sure that, how do I phrase this? They're managing it timely, so that if we put up, we have an opening and we fill it, it comes down, promptly
Yeah, right.
rather than staying up for a long time. Then you'll have people who think we have an opening and are sincerely trying to get in, but in fact, we filled the unit.
Well,
And also,
Yeah, we have
Hello,
I'd
Matt Anderson
caution
is joining
I'd also
us
like
on
to
Zoom.
caution that we have the different income parameters. Some waitlists are closed, the lower income, the 60% are what we're looking for. So it gets a little challenging. The best thing really is to speak with the office to understand what's happening, unfortunately, but we could put something out there to that effect.
So the reason why I'm asking is because in my recent memory, we haven't had, the wait lists haven't been open. So to me, this is kind of new news, and it might, so even if there are, even if we could somehow, let people know that the list, I don't know how we do it, but the Royal has a website.
Yeah.
The Heights doesn't. I understand, totally right, Matt, that there are different income requirements and for different housing. So it gets me confusing. But we really haven't been in a situation in recent years where we've had any. We have even had the wait list open. So I don't know how people know that the wait list is open if we don't somehow find a way to spread the news. And I don't think Department of Social Services is the only way we should be looking at sharing that information.
Okay. Well, we'll put together a plan of action on that, and we'll report that to you all, if not earlier than next month, via email next month. But I'm sure that we can get the word out there on what income categories are open and get it out there.
Yeah, I think even if we just send something to the paper so that, the Hearst, so that it gets into, it'll get picked up in the Advocate, all of their publications on, down in southwestern Connecticut, at least it makes it more public that we have wait lists that are open, even if we have to specify which income levels they are for.
Yeah, there's a couple more rules to that. We'll talk about it again in our presentation to you on how we can roll out this initiative.
Okay.
We have to follow a fair housing marketing plan. We have to, if we advertise in one paper, we have to advertise in several. Look, it's not that complex. We do it all the time. Let us just put some thought as to how we can get the word out better in regards to what income categories are open for us.
Okay, and I think, I could be wrong, but I think for southwestern Connecticut at least, Hearst owns all of the newspapers here. So if it
pretty much, yes.
So if it gets sent,
They also want a fee for each newspaper too. So
no, I'm not saying take out an ad. I'm saying we can send something in an art, something that they'll.
Oh yeah.
So that not just in paid advertising.
Yes, I understand. I also.
Okay.
The one thing we have to be very careful of, we have to make sure that everybody is clear that what we are saying is we are opening the waiting list. We do not have apartments available for people to move into. We are simply indicating that the waiting list is sufficiently short that we will accept new applicants onto the waiting list. There is no guarantee that once you get on the waiting list, what the time frame would be until an apartment becomes available. And that's correct in both locations at all income categories.
Sure.
We just want to make sure that we're very clear about that. Because if we're not, somebody's going to see there's an opening and immediately think they can get an apartment tomorrow. And I don't want people to be misled that way. That's not the case at all. Okay, moving right along. That's it for the reports. Crystal, we got nothing else?
That's all I got today.
Okay.
Well, I'm sorry. Just never mind. Maybe this falls under old business. I'll wait.
Well, we're moving right on to old business.
Okay.
First item of old business, the porch columns. Crystal, we have a bid?
I do. I have a quote for getting them all repaired. It's about 20 of them. I have shared the quote with Fawn. They also, the photos that you guys have there on the table, that is an idea where they can scale back the grass about 12 inches and put something like that photo so that the damage doesn't happen moving forward. They did mention that it seems to just be something that the landscaper should try to be a little more careful and that they should take care of it every year after the season. But we have a quote for fixing it and we have the photo for the idea for moving it back the grass line a bit.
Is it expensive or is it a reasonable price for doing it all?
Considering it's 20 columns and the damage that it is, I think the price is reasonable.
And how are they going to repair them? What are they going to do?
I'm sorry, Jane, say that again.
How are they going to repair them? What are they going to do? How are they
So
going
the quote says, let's see, something, they're gonna scrape it. They're
Sand it
also
down.
sand it down,
Epoxy it, paint it.
epoxy it, and paint it back up, yeah.
I can tell you this, Jane, if we don't like the way the first one looks, we're gonna stop them in their tracks and reevaluate. But I can assure you that our goal is the same as yours. We're gonna make sure these columns look good, stay looking good, and if they get nicked up again, we're gonna go after the vendor for it.
Yeah.
Yes, so, yeah, I spoke to the landscaper for this season about it already, about what we don't want to happen moving forward.
So if we're doing the repairs to the columns, thanks for getting that information and
Of course.
moving this forward. If we're doing the repairs, I'm assuming that just is the cost of making the repairs. What's involved with actually creating more distance between?
That we did not get a pricing on. We did not get a pricing on that because, so he says that it's something we can obviously do, but that is going to be that's going to cost.
Yeah, Susan, we liked your idea from last month of a planting. We are still exploring that, and we're exploring this other option of cutting back the grass basically. But we're still finalizing that plan to prevent, and there'll be additional costs to that, but it'll be money well spent, right? We don't keep fixing the pillars.
Right. Well, that's why I was asking, because obviously once you go through the effort and cost of repairing the columns, you don't want them to get damaged again, right? So we don't want this to be a recurring cost. We want it to be a problem that is solved, now. And it's not necessarily a good use of staff time to be constantly monitoring landscaping and inspecting columns after every landscaping visit. So finding a way this season to address this so that we make the repairs, we complete the job, and we're not dealing with this again in 3 or 4 months would be great.
Absolutely.
And
So I'll ask him to price it out. He wrote it on the quote. He wrote everything we can do to prevent it from happening again. He just didn't put a price, so I'll ask him to put the price in.
Okay, Jane has a comment?
just that many of these columns are on concrete foundation, and they're supporting the small porches over, say, building 12. There isn't any way to put landscaping around them. The back of building 5, the back door to building 5, those columns are already on concrete, so there isn't any way to put greenery around them to prevent further damage. I'm sure you've seen that and you know that.
Yeah.
Some of them are like that, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Some of them I'm not quite sure how they had. I understand. There's some areas that it's a little more difficult to prevent. And frankly, I don't think they should hit some of them anyways. But look at.
So we're gonna work with the
I'm working with
vendor,
that. He's a
and
new
we're gonna
guy.
say, come up with a preventative plan for this type of situation and this type, and let's see what works, and then we'll go ahead and we'll fix the columns to make sure it doesn't happen again. So we're gonna work with them individually.
We're going to get the preventative measures in place. We're going to fix them, and I don't think we're going to be talking about this again because.
Good. That would be great.
There you go.
Really nice.
Yeah.
Okay,
I-
other items under old business. It's not on the agenda, but it is an item.
I've got a whole list.
The one-way traffic, the fencing is on order. We just can't get the fencing delivered. And
I
this is,
have reached out to another company, so I'm getting some pricing from them, because the current one that we order from, they said, they have no clue of when it's gonna come in. So I have reached out to 2 more people, so
well, we appreciate that.
I'll get some updates on that, and I'll circulate.
I can tell you from a purely retail perspective, deliveries are running way behind. It's very difficult to get goods delivered. And I don't see an end in sight. So this problem's going to be with us for several more months.
The good news, the trash areas are much improved. There's much less garbage outside of the bins, which is wonderful to see. I did send pictures today, the trash area down in the circle. There are several bookcases pushed behind the trash cans, which I'm sure you guys are aware of. So
Yes,
maybe-
Elmo's gonna break those down and get rid of them.
Yeah, so I think we should just be, but the trash area is much improved and it's nice to see. That's a great improvement.
Yes, thank you.
What else was on? Oh, one of the other things was on the follow-up from last week. I had made the suggestion, and I don't know if it's possible, when there is a small issue here, say, where the plastic tent was blowing around over in the area behind building 15, something like that. If someone calls and we can have a pre-recorded message that says, if you're calling about, the trash cans or something, we're aware of it. Just to make it so that if I call, I know you're already aware of something. There's no point in me leaving a message, to get the phone system a little more updated. Also to save you guys the hassle and pain of 12 people calling on something that you're already aware of and working on.
Yeah, I'm actually, they should be emailing me a quote soon. We're working on getting all the phones between the Royal and the Heights actually linked up, and it's into like a cloud so that we can do stuff like that. So when anything happens, we can notify all the residents at one time.
Yeah, I think it would be good. It would just make us a little more professional.
Yeah, so they're actually getting me that call. I just spoke with them this week about it.
Great, okay. The other thing that was on the agenda from last week was the washer and dryers. My suggestion that I've made several times about a concession or a plan where those of us who have been here 6 and 7 years that have now paid approximately $3,000 or $4,000 on these washers, that we could get some kind of, we own them, something. And I know we had it on the agenda. Is there any follow-up on that at this point?
I'd have to defer to Todd on that. Todd, I don't know if he's available. I think he's running around a little bit. I see him on the call, but I don't know if he's able to speak. The answer on the management end is we don't have any update on that quite yet. So
Okay,
Todd
we
can
talked to
join.
Todd last month, but, this is, I brought it up several times, and I'd appreciate if we could come up with.
We might want to take this issue offline
Okay.
and connect you directly, because we don't, Imagineers, the management company does not have anything to do with the washers and dryers. We help facilitate, obviously, so that would have to be reconciled by Todd or Shamrock and.
All right,
I
we'll
think-
take it offline.
I just
And we'll
want to tell
review
him
the
that
policy.
we have been looking into whether or not we can get better pricing for the washers and dryers, which includes the things that we talked about last month in terms of the cost for replacement units, maintenance, as well as the cost to operate and maintain them over the longevity. And we do understand that some residents put a little bit more stress on equipment and appliances than others. And we're going through that analysis, trying to see if we can get better pricing, better quotes for this maintenance and ongoing operations of the washers and dryers. So if you give us a few more weeks for that, we should be able to come up with an idea to see if there's an opportunity to lower the cost.
So,
But I will say, generally speaking, that it's going to be in that same neighborhood, but whether or not we can tighten up the cost a little bit to share some of those savings and pass along those savings to the residents, that's what we're attempting to do right now.
And just on a side note, where this happens, if this is where washers and dryers are leased, there has not been an increase at the Heights for a while. So that's also abnormal. I just want to kind of point that out. But again, I understand your point, Jane, and appreciate your point. I also understand that there's an expense to running a business and providing a service. And if they don't want to run a washer and dryer, they absolutely don't need to. We have beautiful facilities for anybody to use right there, very affordable. As Todd said, it sounds like he's doing some due diligence and digging into the numbers, and hopefully we'll either get back to you prior to the meeting and we can address it at the next meeting or address it at the next meeting.
All I ask is that the request be taken seriously and that we look into it and come up with something. The next thing was, Crystal had made a note that we were going to have parking permits sometime in the month of March, I believe, and I just wanted to follow up on where we were on that. It was in the newsletter that, I think as of March 1st, but I know things, get pushed back.
The permits are in. We're still going to do it. We're just a little delayed with it, but we are still going to do it. Mirna took some days off this month. I'm taking a couple of days off this month. The permits are in. We're going to make sure. We've talked to a couple of residents about it. We've already gotten tow signs in. We're going to start putting those up so that we can clean up all of the parking.
Yep, great, yep.
On the plus side, permits at the Royal have been issued, parking spaces have been assigned, and signage has gone up to indicate that this is a private parking lot and that every space in the parking lot is assigned. Visitors must park on the post road or on Academy Street.
Yeah.
And so far, the reviews have been mixed. We still have a few people that just don't get it, and I'm being gracious when they say they don't get it. I think they get it, they don't care, and so that's an issue. That's an ongoing issue, but we continue to work on it.
And on the improvement side, back behind building 15, last month, the landscaping company was storing trailers and various things, and that's now been reduced down to just the one trailer. So it looks much better. That's definitely an improvement, and thank you for that. I appreciate it. It does look better. I had sent you an email and copied the board. It looks like back in the circle there's a truck down there with New York plates. I'm sure you're aware of it.
We tagged it. We tagged it. I'm actually going to call the Darien police to see if they can run it for me.
Okay, great. Okay, good. Thank you.
Moving along.
Moving right along.
Election of resident committee.
I think I missed out before with, there were a couple more things about the Royal, if I could just bring them up.
Sure, why not? Go right ahead.
One of them, as I had mentioned to Crystal, my vent, when the blower goes off, I have rattling and it sounds like.
Yeah, there's debris, we're aware, there is construction debris in the vent system that must be taken care
Okay,
of.
so I'm wondering if that would also wait till May, would they do that?
No, we're gonna, Crystal said earlier, we should by the end of the week hopefully have a date, and then they're gonna come out and take care of it.
And the second
We
thing
are
is-
pushing hard for a date. We understand.
Okay.
We're hearing it loud and clear, everybody. We know. We are pushing for a date.
And one of my last thing, which I've mentioned to so many people, is the windows. I promise I will not jump out of the windows. Is there some way that the bottom sash would go up a little bit more than 3 inches?
The window only goes up 3 inches?
Yeah, the bottom,
Yeah, I'm
the
gonna
top,
have to
the
confirm
top will go
that.
down as much as you want, but the bottom only goes up 3 inches.
I have a beautiful bay window with 3 windows. I don't care about the center one, but I would just love when the spring comes to sit in front of a window that's open, more than 3 inches.
But the top one
If
is always.
if you wouldn't mind, if we could look into this issue, maybe it's, if you would give us an opportunity to get back to you individually and the group next month, we will follow up on why that's the case, and if that can change.
It's the style of the window, Matt.
It is the style,
And the problem with it is, in theory, it prevents somebody from getting into the window by lifting the bottom sash. But because of the residents that we have, reaching all the way up to move the upper sash down is problematic. I have a problem. And then once you get it down, getting it back up again is problematic.
But the first floor, their window's open, so if you want to worry about people climbing in, they can climb in.
The first floor windows, the bottom sash opens?
Yeah.
I don't get it. Because I'm on the second floor.
So Joe, and Matt will follow up with this. We will get a response
Yeah,
from
let's
some
get
of
a
our design
response. That's not what
professionals.
we're doing.
But if you could hear me, Matt will follow up and follow up on this. But we will get a response from our design professionals. This was a code requirement that the town implemented as part of the construction, and we will get you a more thorough answer so that can be circulated to the residents.
Thank you. While we're back on the Royal, just so that everybody understands. When we have an incident at both the Royal and the Heights, I realize every resident wants to do something to make sure that the situation is being taken care of. Your first call is never to be to Crystal at whatever time of the night it is. The alarm system is designed so that it automatically calls the first responders to come to the scene. If the situation requires that we need management on scene, we will take care of notifying management to come to the scene. We had an incident at the Royal a week and a half ago, and half the residents got on the phone and called Crystal. And Crystal, I think you're a wonderful lady, and I think you do some amazing things, but putting out fires is not on that list. The first responders were notified, they were notified appropriately, and the response was adequate to the situation.
I think Crystal could have handled that fire.
I got it.
You should have been there, it was marvelous.
What we say this year, Crystal thanked the superintendent and the vent at the very top in the living room, and the vent in the bedroom at the bottom of the wall. They went in there and all the plaster is loose.
Yeah, we're working on it. We're waiting for a date on when they're going to come and clean it.
Every day, they done mine, they kind of vacuum.
No. The construction company has to come back and completely clean the vent system. There
Yeah,
is,
because it just goes right down to the bottom, there's nothing there and behind that vent.
Yeah.
It's just straight down. There's no other wall, only wall in the bedroom.
well, we'll get a date, hopefully in the not too distant future, on when they're going to come to correct that situation.
Because it's all over the bed.
I know.
And I've been on 2 different asthma sprays, and it's affecting my lung.
We'll have an answer for you. We'll have a date that they are going to come out and fix it. It has to be fixed. Okay, moving right along. Election of resident commissioner. We've talked with the League of Women Voters. We need to move ahead. A couple of things that have to be done. We have to notify the residents that there is going to be an election. Once we send the notifications out, I believe there's 30 days for people to respond that they want to run for election. We will then organize an election. We're still a little this way and that way because of the virus as to how we're actually going to do the voting. As far as who gets to vote, any legal resident of either the Heights or the Royal is eligible. Any legal resident over the age of 18 is eligible to vote. Now, who's a legal resident? Your name has to be on the lease. So if you have a husband and wife and 2 kids, and the 2 kids are teenagers and they're over 18, and all 4 names appear on the list, then all 4 people get to vote. If it's a husband and wife and they have young children under the age of 18, the husband and wife, if both names are on the lease, get to vote. If just one or the other is on the lease, then only one person gets to vote. In order to vote in this election, your name must appear on the list, and you must be a tenant in good standing. That is, your rent's paid up to date, all the things are done that need to be done. But we will start sometime next week or the week after getting a memo out, letting people know that there's going to be an election, and giving people the appropriate 30 days to respond who wants to run for office. The office is the one that Jane currently holds. We must, one of the 5 commissioners, in addition to being a commissioner, must also be a resident at either the Heights or at the Royal.
Joe, looking at the timeline, it'd be great if we could get that communication out by the end of March, because you're talking about 30 to 60 days to have the election go through with logistics and everything else. And it's, if it can be, communicated out sometime by the end of March, that we're having elections and start that 30-day process, I think it would be in everyone's best interest.
Yeah, ideally, Peter, in my mind, it would have been nice to have this all done back in January, but it didn't, and there were a whole bunch of reasons why it didn't.
understand
that
that,
we did
but
not-
we should expedite now.
Well, my target, to get this done, and of course it's up to the commissioners, but the target would be to have everything finished, the election over with, and the new resident commissioner in place by July 1st. That coincides with the fiscal year for the town, so that we would be operating on a normal fiscal year with the town. The town's fiscal year runs from July 1 to June 30. And we could put our election schedule on that same time frame and make sure that we adhere to that as we move into the future. And that's doable. We get the notice out by the end of March. We've got 30 days, another 30 days to hold the election, and we should be in pretty good shape. Okay, any problems? Okay, moving right along. New business. Unless anybody, did I miss anything on old business? Anybody got anything on new business? New business. Going once. Going twice. Close under new business. Now that's good because next month it'll make old business that much shorter. We have nobody here from the Heights. Jane, have you got anything other than what we mentioned already?
Nice improvements, as we've said.
Old town hall houses, you guys are all moving right along. We know what the issues are. We're dealing with them.
Oh, the one thing I would like to suggest, when the landscapers come, and Crystal mentioned doing flowers, it would seem to me, it would make more sense to put in perennials rather than annuals. They usually do a nice job with impatiens and stuff around the front, and it looks lovely. But it's an expense that we occur every year, and perhaps when the landscape will come by, it might make a little more sense to switch over to perennials, in some of those flowers.
I did actually mention that to them when I was getting the new contracts put up together. I told them to give me pricing for flowers that we put in and then come back, and some that don't. So
Yeah.
I'm working on that too.
It just might make a little more sense, just save us the money.
The one issue with the difference between perennials and annuals is that while you're right, you don't have to replace the perennials year after year after year. The perennials take an awful lot more maintenance than the annuals. You put the annuals in, something dies, you pull it out, you put a new one in to replace it, and you're done. The perennials take a lot of pruning and trimming and deadheading, and they become expensive to maintain. So what we're looking for is something that will stay over time, but will not incur expenses that make it so expensive that we keep maintaining.
Some middle ground.
Yes, something like that. Comment.
See out the front yard, I'm on one of the patios facing Academy Street. And is there anything you can do? I've even told people who are walking the dogs, that whole place is loaded with dog food. And I went there, I told the guy, I said, pick it up. He says, it's not private property.
So this
All
is,
right, wait a minute, let me make sure I understand where we're talking about. So we're on Academy Street.
Yeah, the green, the grass right outside, I'm right there.
Yeah.
The second door from the left.
Right,
And I went there and told him he has to pick it up.
yeah.
And he never picked it up.
Oh,
He
well,
said it's not private property.
excuse me. You, in the town of Darien, have to pick up after your dog, I don't care where you are. That's just the way it is.
Is there anything like a sign that can be put up there? Private property? Pick up after
maybe
your
just,
dog?
we talked to Crystal, maybe a sign that says, well,
So this has been brought to my attention by multiple residents, and I have notified the Darien Police Department that we have a trespassing issue. I have made my management team aware that we have a problem with people that do not live at the Royal. These are not Royal residents.
No,
They
these are
live
not
in the
Royal
surrounding
residents.
areas, the surrounding houses, the surrounding community, and I've even had a resident tell me that they verbally said something to them over the balcony, like, please don't let your dog use the bathroom here, and just walk away, and the person said, oh, whatever, and kept walking.
Yeah, that's what
There's
you
a
do.
poop station there that I provided. There's poop bags I've provided. I had to buy a pooper scooper. I have my team cleaning it up. I asked the Darien Police to drive by and keep an eye on it. I don't know what else I can do to keep these people from coming on the property.
It's a work in progress. Crystal and Fawn and I are well aware, and it's a challenge. But we're aware, we're trying to address it. It's neighbors walking their dogs, unfortunately not cleaning up after them. We're working on it very hard. It's just a very challenging situation, as you can imagine.
If it's the same people doing it,
Well, they come right down from private homes,
I understand.
and I've shouted them in that apartment complex across the street.
If they do it at the same time every day, let me know.
Yeah.
And I will put my 2 cents in.
Because most dog walkers will walk consistently at the same time, you know, after work or after school or something. If you can catch the time, then.
That would be very helpful, Jane. Good point. If you can catch the specific time. People usually walk their dogs at the same time, their lunch break, after work, before work. If you can pinpoint the offender's time and give that information to us, very helpful.
Yeah, because then Crystal can address it, because then she can be there, you know, and address it appropriately, you know.
Because when they come and cut the grass, they're going to be standing, it's loaded with it.
Of
Yeah,
course,
yeah.
there's no reason, there's no excuse for it.
Yeah.
It's not permitted anywhere.
Yeah,
I don't care whether it's private property or not private, public property, it's not permitted in the town of Darien, period. There are laws telling you have to clean up after your dog. And if you're not willing to clean up after your dog, you'll pay the consequences. This is not a free-for-all. We'll get on.
I told them then, I'll say they're putting I'll just tell them they're putting cameras up and I'll get you one.
You know what?
Film.
I know the attitude, because I'm smarter than all of you. The rules don't apply to me. Just ask me, I'll tell you. Okay, anything else? Did we get anything else? No. In that case, the chair will entertain a motion for adjournment from public session to go into executive session.
So moved.
So moved. All right, just for those of you